Okay, we heard you. We won't do it again, all right? We know you don't like the 6 minutes of rolling cross politic is coming soon because you guys want to be entertained. And you're right. We should have never put that dumb graphic up with the time counter thing going on for 6 minutes because it's not really that valuable to you. So here's what we're going to do now. We've changed it all because you've complained so much, which is not really a rule that complaining should get you what you want. But in this case, it worked. Nevertheless, here's what we're going to do. We have so much wonderful backstage pub content that what we're going to do, the time that we're waiting to get ready and for people, we need the time for people to come in. A live stream starts, people aren't there, they don't get the story, the narrative. So we wait for a little bit to get a lot of people in the room so the algorithm builds up and yada, yada, yada. We make tons of money when this happens. Not really, but you get what I'm saying. It works better for the stream. So what we're going to do now in this 6 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, let's hope not 10 minutes, we're going to play club content that's inside of the pub so that we can bring you a bunch of value while you are waiting for the show to start. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to play this clip from Vody Bakum back in 2019, I believe it was, at the Founders Conference. This is unseen footage. Only people who sign up to become a club member get this kind of footage. So I'm going to go away, and then when I come back, the show will be starting. But here's Dr. Vody Bakum.
I think the number one way that cultural Marxism has infiltrated the evangelical church is through education. The overwhelming majority, some 90% of evangelicals send their children to the government for their education. That's 14,000 seat hours of instruction.
Yeah.
14,000 in an overtly Marxist, both classical Marxist and cultural Marxist institution that is designed to erode Christian faith.
Yeah.
And again, classical Marxism and cultural Marxism are rabidly atheistic, you know. So I think there's no question that that is the number one means through which it comes. We talk about media and social media and all this. Kids aren't watching that much television, you know, compared to the amount of time that they're spending in the schools. And then the schools now are bringing media in. Different media organizations, media companies have now provided the school with media, you know, equipped with advertising and everything else. So there's a synergy that's created there. But I'd say number one is education. Number two is media.
Okay. Would you say another connection between cultural and classical Marxism is materialism?
Yeah. Well, materialism in what sense? Because there's, you know, the classical Marxism has this kind of historical dialectical materialism or whatever. But then there's also like materialism as in things.
Right. But there's a connection.
I mean,
you're right. But there's a connection in the sense that I'm thinking, you're right. Marx himself reduced everything to money.
Yes.
But cultural Marxism, it seems like, is reducing everything to what we're made of, like our skin color or our sex or gender or, you know, sexuality.
So you very much have both of those kinds of
materialism. Who am I? What am I made of? Is reduced to stuff. Either the stuff I got or the stuff I'm made of.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
And it seems like that is tied directly to Darwinism.
Yeah, so you got cultural Marxism, you got cultural Darwinism, social Darwinism, you got all the, and again, a lot of people don't realize, you know, Marx is what, 1818 to 1888?
Yep.
And Origin of Species is published 1850. So these guys are contemporaries. These ideas are all swimming around at the same time. So you can't ignore the Darwinistic influence on Marx. And the development of sociology as a science. You know, Marx is one of the fathers of sociology, but he wasn't a sociologist, right? He's a philosopher / economist, because economics really wasn't a science then either. So the science of economics, the science of sociology, the science of psychology, these things are all being born at this same time and through these same influences. And we ignore that to our detriment.
So education, government education, and media have been the way in which this various forms of Marxism, Darwinism, materialism infiltrated the church. because 90% of evangelicals have their kids in government schools. How are you seeing the success of government discipleship of our children? How are you seeing it actually being successfully established in the evangelical church?
Yeah, if you want to measure the success of the government's discipleship of our children for generations, you look at two things. One, you look at the fact that almost all Christians send their children without any qualms to the government school. So that, number one, that tells you that they've been properly discipled.
Right, because they keep doing it.
Because they keep doing it. And then here's the second thing. When I do homeschool conferences and things like that, and there are a lot of people who are considering home education. And one of the top arguments that people make for not educating their children is that they are not capable. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. So your argument for not homeschooling your kids is that the government school that you're sending them to educated you so poorly that you're not capable of educating them.
Right.
And now you're rewarding them by allowing them to do it again. Right. That says something about the effectiveness of that discipleship. And then a third thing, people always, you find out that you're a homeschooler, they want to know, well, is that legal? Does the government check on you? Right. Do they check your curriculum? Do they check that's statism.
Right.
Right. It's, do you have the imprimatur of the state to do this?
Right.
Because that's state territory. That's not your
discipled.
territory.
They got discipled by the state.
They got discipled effectively by the state. And then I said a last one, but
yeah.
Another one is when a lot of people start homeschooling, what do? They do the same thing that they saw in the public education setting at home.
Right.
Right? They even start at the same time of year.
Yeah.
Summer vacation is the same time when the school system goes on vacation. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you do this? I mean, because you've been discipled, and I always often use a slavery analogy. Slaves are freed, and within the next generation or so, most former slaves are still working on plantations because it's all they knew. Sharecropping and other things like that. We're free. Okay, where do we go? What do we do? What do we know?
Yeah.
Which to me is one of the incredible providences of God that period, resulted.
Booker T. Washington points out that the plantation owners actually they didn't even know how to work their plantations.
Yeah. So that's just one of the amazing providences of God.
But yeah, no, I hear you.
A group of people come up from that.
Yeah.
To quote, up from slavery.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all of these things point to the effective discipleship of generations by the educational system and by the state.
Yeah.
Wanted. Young men to rebuild Western civilization. Must be unafraid of pain, blisters, intellectual rigor, and a lifetime of long shifts with swords and shovels, digging ditches, repelling invaders, and reading stacks of books taller than their fathers. Must be impervious to manipulative women of all sorts, giggling virgins, cyber skanks, and even full cauldrons of Karens or hand-wringing clergy, but always seeking to hear and heed the words of Lady Wisdom. Immune to the leadership of hypocrites and LARPing online masculinitods, unaffected by abusive authorities, petty professors, and all brokers of official respectability. Willing to hoist the Jolly Roger and Johnny Cash's favorite finger whenever faced with idolatry. Long-suffering joy and determination required. Must be willing to dwell among the tombs and graves of the long dead, seeking truths that cannot die. Exhaustion guaranteed. Conflict guaranteed. Mortality guaranteed. New St. Andrews College. Liberal arts for the undaunted.
Legacy media is falling apart, and as it crumbles, a void is opening. a void that we intend to fill. The big legacy news networks currently average just 1.2 million viewers a weeknight, and those numbers are only going to get lower. Legacy media is dying, and the younger generation has moved on. Legacy media panders. Legacy media lies. Legacy media does not know what the truth is, and they don't care about it. Legacy media is a dumpster fire. This is why we few in our wild imaginations have started the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Our goal is to take down the legacy media giant of the last 50 years with our 5 stones. We started in 2016 with our flagship show, Cross Politic. Since those small beginnings, we now air on DirecTV. Our broader podcast network now gets over 4 million downloads a year. And our Fight Laugh Feast pub, which includes TV shows like This America, The Rowdy Christian's Guide, Pastors in Politics, and As the Lord Pleases, with your support, many more to come. Our goal is to become the flagship new media 2.0 network over the next 50 years and take over nightly news, sports, sitcoms, hunting shows, and more, all conveniently stored for you in our Fight Laugh Feast pub. We're already reaching the next generation through our podcast shows on YouTube, X, and our pub, while also tapping into legacy media audiences by airing our shows on TV through DirecTV and Xfinity. We have made a lot of progress with some duct tape and a good bit of intuition and a lot of sweat. And now we need your support more than ever. The TV networks have had such a negative impact on our households, and we're trying, by the grace of God, to put a stop to that. We have the opportunity. We just need the army. Now more than ever, we need you to join our pub to help us reach our goal of 1 million pub supporters in the next 5 years. There's no way around it. Competing with Fox and the Alphabet networks without money is virtually impossible. It's cheap for you to join. And when you do, you're combining your small monthly support with a growing army of like-minded Christians. We have thousands, we need millions. So if you want more of the Alphabet network's misinformation and lies, don't join. But if you want to give us a mere 5 stones, then please join the pub, and together we will take a swing at the head of big media, all the while fighting, laughing, and feasting to the glory of God.
Ducking and diving, Matrix was on the street. Donnie feet, dodging heat.
You just dropped that bomb right before I get on?
Cherry red Cheeto got the slickest of feet. Missed again, sorry, but you can't take
the heat.
Too many plot twists, the man still breathing. Just a game of dodgeball, Trump still seeping.
I don't even know what this is.
Again and again, but he's still teasing. Life's a reality show, he ain't deceiving. Golden hair flowing, the ones his only foe. Laying low in Mar-a-Lago, dodging a blow. Stage set for chaos, he's the star of the show. Teflon Don, dodging shots, you know how it goes. Making plans, trying to scheme, but the big man's still fishing in the stream. Elusive, just vibing now, not a dream. Missing the mark like a bad movie theme. Too many parts, Mr. Man still breathing.
They ain't tried.
So good. You guys missed us yesterday, didn't you? Well, welcome to Cross Baltic. We're live. All the technology is working today. Yesterday we had a fight with the devil. The devil didn't win.
The gremlins.
But yeah, we had a little.
He ran through here and just unplugged everything.
They sure did.
We're gonna get you, gremlins.
So as you guys know, if you were waiting for us yesterday, you know there's a second assassination attempt on President Trump.
That's what that song was about.
That's what that song was about.
Yes.
Teflon Don.
Teflon
He just
Don.
need to drop another
so
song every time they try and take his life.
Yeah, we're gonna release an AI album on YouTube and everything, so you can check out our AI album. It's coming out. It's coming out.
Teflon Don.
But I think actually, sometimes it's just the serrated edge, the satirical satire almost always wins. So
Sometimes.
But if you notice,
Sometimes always. I love that.
Trump,
Sometimes always.
Sometimes always.
Sometimes I'm always right.
Trump has had 2 assassination attempts, and Kamala has had 2 interview attempts.
Oh,
in that time.
I see that.
You see what I'm saying?
I like how you did
where's
that.
Where's my Babylon B article? I don't got to call it up there. It should just be up there, right? Kamala, safe and in stable condition after attempted interview.
I don't know about stable.
You don't know about stable?
I listened to her
Well,
talk.
she was safe.
At least she was safe.
The interview whizzed right by her.
I want Oh,
right by her.
And it
Yes.
didn't even graze her.
But the Venn diagram actually, I think, summarizes this the best.
Oh yeah.
Is you got bullets and you got interviews, and they both dodged them.
Yeah.
Right.
One of these things is not like the other.
That's there's a logic problem here.
I'm just I'm kind of new to all this politics stuff, but
I bet Trump would rather be dodging interviews and bullets.
And I'd like to go through her second interview. So the first interview she did was with Walls, so winning by herself.
Right.
The second interview she did without Walls with a local ABC reporter, and it was bad. Would have gone through it today, but we got the attempted assassination we got to go through.
Right.
So, and then of course you can't forget the Babylon Bee again.
They were winning.
This is ultimately. I mean, this is actually truth a little bit here.
That called Trump Hitler for 8 years, shocked as someone tries to assassinate him.
I mean, is that satire at this point?
Yeah.
That was just an article.
Yeah, I don't think it is satire. The mission of Armored Republic is to honor Christ by equipping free men with tools of liberty necessary to preserve God-given rights. In the Armored Republic, there's no king but Christ. We are free craftsmen. Body armor is a tool of liberty. We create tools of liberty. Free men must remain ever vigilant against tyranny wherever it appears. God has given us the tools of liberty needed to defend the rights he's bestowed upon us. Our Armored Republic is honored to offer you those tools. So visit them today at ar500armor.com. That's the letters AR, the number 500, armor.com.
Have we told people to share the show? I don't think we have to tell people anymore, but
they're starting to
just in case we do, people should actually hit the share button, hit the like button. It's really a form of currency. People,
it really is.
It's very helpful.
You can support us by joining the club.
Yes.
You can support us by running ads on our show and all that stuff, becoming a corporate partner with your company. And then one of the most effective ways, because there's a lot of people who don't have the money to support us, which you get and it doesn't bother us at all, but you can share. That's a free way to donate to the show.
It's so hard to move your thumb.
It's so hard.
The thumb over
share,
to the
comment,
share.
even putting a
Gabe's going to say something that's going to be worth sharing.
It's true. It's true. Every show.
Just share. Just like preemptively. Like Gabe's going to say something. It's going to be great.
So do we got the Trump video ready, Bree, or not? It's only audio.
It should be. You should be able to load it inside there. It should be a video that goes along with it.
Okay, go. So
I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, and very peaceful, very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and I think probably the other one. Steve is one of the people, Steve Woodcock, a great friend of mine, a great businessman from mostly New York and Florida, great businessman, and more importantly, just a fantastic person. So we're in the group, and everybody we got into the carts, and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, well, let's get out of here. And what the gunfire was actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen a barrel of a AK-47, which is a very powerful rifle, and he started shooting at the barrel, It was in the bushes.
Wow.
Could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? But could only see the barrel. Based on that, he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot of, those were the shots we heard. The other one never got a shot off. And he ran across the street and grabbed his car, hopped into his truck or car. And amazingly, a civilian in that area saw something and it looked very suspicious. And in the car, drove their car to the back of his truck of some kind, and took pictures of the license plate, gave them to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Bradshaw is fantastic, very great sheriff for a long time. And within a fairly short period of time, they tracked him down on the highway. It was a pretty high-speed chase, and they ended up getting him. They got him. Because you wouldn't want to have somebody like that out there.
No.
He dropped his gun, the AK-47. He left his gun. He left cameras behind, left a lot of things behind. So the agent did a fantastic job. The civilian did a phenomenal job. A woman. I mean, who would think you could take 1,000 times like that? How many people would have the brain power to follow him and
Not
take
many.
pictures of the back of his truck so that they end up getting, and the key was the license. So they got the license, and after they had the license, there's all sorts of technology where they can literally pinpoint where this truck is. I never knew something like that existed. And they pinpointed him on the highway. They got him with a high-speed chase. So they got him. It was amazing. So Secret Service did a great job. And I think I can say honestly, the sheriff's office, law enforcement, everybody really did a great job. Very
Incredible.
happy about that.
He's just being nice.
Yeah. I think he has to right now.
Well, if I want the Secret Service agent to hit his target multiple times, so they would say, we found pieces of the person who was trying to
They
attempt.
did miss.
I'm just saying.
But
Who?
But if he had
It could have been a nice distance.
It could have been like 100 yards away with a handgun.
I don't care. That's how I feel right now. You're a Secret Service agent.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want you to hit the
I
target.
just want to get that dude from the Olympics.
You know what we had to rely
There's
on?
Just no optics or
Yes,
anything.
yes. We had to rely
He's my
on.
agent.
We had to rely on a woman who saw something. We had to rely on a Karen. Karen saw something suspicious, said, what's going on over there? I done heard some shots. Sound like that truck right there done did something bad. I'm going to follow it. Y'all, yes, this is Karen. Listen, I saw somebody running, and it looked like they dropped an AK-47, and it just
With
didn't
some
seem right.
ceramics.
I'm in front of them right now, and I just don't like the way it looks. Get out here real quickly.
Should I knock on his window?
That's what we had to rely on. I'm just saying.
So
that was it.
You think about it. So this
my
happened Sunday afternoon. This happened.
Yeah.
And not one football game paused to
Gabe.
report, do an emergency. Hey, the president.
When
the
you
former
said that,
president.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, like football games pause for
They're like
tornadoes,
Trump's getting shot at again.
hurricanes. Yeah.
Trump's getting shot at.
I mean,
again.
imagine if Joe Biden or
Yeah.
Kamala would have been shot at. The football games would have paused. Breaking news.
Wow.
Right?
Right.
I don't know.
No, they would.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, they do this for
Joe
hurricanes,
Biden's gone
tornadoes, all
now.
that
Nobody's.
stuff.
Sorry.
He did that
I'm
on
just
his own
saying.
himself. But actually, I want to hop to the JD Vance video because it corroborates some of what. So here's JD Vance's first comments after the assassination
Attempt.
I get a phone call and it says Donald J. Trump. So I answer it and he says, JD, you're not going to believe this, but they tried to do it again. And I said, no, they didn't. You're joshing me. What's going on here, sir? And he says, no, I was playing golf and the Secret Service found somebody who was trying to shoot me. And I say, oh, my Lord, sir, I'm so glad you're okay. I mean, are you doing okay? Are you not just physically okay, but everything's fine? He said, yeah, I'm doing fine. And this is just who Donald Trump is. He said, I'm a little mad because I was about to make a birdie putt on the 6th hole and they wouldn't let me finish.
But isn't that basically where we're at?
Well, and I mean, I think that the president, that kind of reminds me of almost his like fight moment.
Yeah.
Where it's like after his second attempted assassination, he's like, I'm still going.
I had a really good golf game going.
Yeah. I wanted a birdie on that 6th hole.
I think that's kind of an example of how we are as citizens. We're just trying to do our thing, play our game, live our lives, and they're trying to take us out. We can't try and save little babies' lives without the FBI showing up and saying, excuse me, you're coming with me. Well, why? I'm not telling you. Yeah, we're just trying to save people's lives. We're just trying to be normal, play our games of golf, live life, and we have someone trying to take us out.
So think about this.
Somebody tried to correct me and said that it wasn't a AK-47, SKS 47 with a scope, which is really weird, by the way. But okay, granted.
Toby, you were just going through. Trump had put together a list of all the kind of, harsh rhetoric. Some people call it violent rhetoric that the Democratic Party had been using over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to read that list after this video of Harris kind of incriminating herself a little bit.
And we've got to say that you cannot be entrusted with standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, engaging in that hateful rhetoric that, as usual, is designed to divide us as a country is designed to have people pointing fingers at each other. It's designed to do that. And I think most people in our country, regardless of their race, are starting to see through this nonsense and to say, you know what, let's turn the page on this. This is exhausting and it's harmful. So let's turn the page and chart a new way forward and say, you can't have that microphone again.
She's talking about the Democrats, right?
She said, you can't have that microphone again.
Yeah.
You don't get to speak?
Yeah. I think she's just...
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because if I remember correctly, all the stuff at the debate that she said Trump said was hateful and was bad that didn't get fact checked, they've been the ones who've taken that and took him out of context.
Right.
In order to make it sound like he's being hateful when he's not being hateful.
Yeah. Don't forget that.
Right. If I remember correctly, you guys have been the one twisting, re-editing his clips out of context to create a false reality that doesn't exist to make people feel a particular way about him. That's called lying.
Right.
And you get to get up here on this stage and say, oh, if Trump would only change the way he talks. Wait a second.
Right.
Wait a second.
Well, we want to, Toby, you want to read just a couple of those?
No, this is just, this is kind of nuts. Kamala Harris repeatedly has said Trump is a threat to our democracy and fundamental freedoms. It's on us to recognize the threat that Trump poses. Kamala Harris, does one of us have to come out alive? Ha, 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 ha. That's not how
So that was an interview. That was an interview she had with Ellen DeGeneres. Where Ellen said, hey, if you walked into
don't you have the video
elevator, I don't think we have the video now, but maybe if we do, you can play it. But if you walked into an elevator and you had to go in with either, Bush, Trump, or, someone else, who would you choose? And Kamala responded and said, well, would we have to walk out? Would one of them not have to walk out alive?
Would one of us have to walk out alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Biden also is on here. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation. There's one existential threat. It's Donald Trump. Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. That is a threat to this country. Tim Walz, are Republicans a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Gwen Walz, bye-bye, Donald Trump. Pelosi, Trump is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not seen. Jasmine Crockett, MAGA in general, there are threats to us domestically. Dan Goldman, representative, he's destructive to our democracy, has to be eliminated.
Whoa.
Disgraced Harris staffer TJ Ducklow, Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy. Liz Cheney, Trump presents a fundamental threat to the republic, and we are seeing it on a daily basis. Trump is an enemy of the United States. Steve Cohen. Maxine Waters. Are Trump supporters preparing a civil war against us? Again, Waters, I want to know about all those right-wing organizations that Trump is connected with or training up in the hills somewhere. Apparently, they're training with your people, Waters. Trump is an existential threat to democracy. Trump is the gravest threat to our democracy. Right, so cannot be president again.
Oh, man. No. Let him go.
Threat to our democracy.
All right, thank you, Toby. We're going to double down.
I don't think we should have stopped. That could have been to listen to the whole show.
Taking away my microphone?
Yeah. Free speech. We're going to have a revolt right here on the show.
Trump's lawyers actually captured a lot of this on
Trump needs to be shot. Stacey Plaskett said. Sorry. Just had to get that out.
See, he almost missed that one because you wouldn't allow the man free speech.
All right, roll a clip.
Wait, hold on, wait. Before you roll the clip, because this is important. This was during the first impeachment. First impeachment.
Trial?
Yeah.
Was it impeachment trial? Jacob? It was.
So this wasn't recent.
Wow, you know your stuff.
Well,
man.
we have a producer that actually did some research. Okay, now you can roll the clip.
The House managers spoke about rhetoric, about a constant drumbeat of heated language. Well, as I'm sure everyone watching expected, we need to show you some of their own words.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school.
If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. Take
come out now.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to...
Well, this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
Ooh, that was the ha 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 ha.
Yeah,
that was printed.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what it sounds like. That's what that cackle sounds like.
So
when demons from hell start laughing.
One other president has been had 2 attempted assassinations. That was Gerald Ford.
Yeah.
Trump has now had 2 assassination attempts within 65 days,
64 days since the last. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. And it's amazing to me that all this, I don't have a problem with thinking that the Democrats are bad for America and saying that, right? You know, I don't have a problem even saying that. I think the Democrats are kind of they really are a threat to America. Would you, I mean, you know, just kind of looking at the Democrats and how they're trying to take away our free speech, how they came after, you know, all the stuff in COVID,
all the lawfare,
the
weaponizing FBI.
I mean, they really are. So in one sense, the Democrats are saying Trump's a threat, and we're making a point off that and saying, like, this is, you guys have been building up this rhetoric for 8 years, or basically 8 years, because when Trump got elected in 2016. But it's actually, to me, inversed. We're reversed, whatever, inverse, reverse. Where Trump, I mean, where the Democrats are like, they're the bad guys in this. They're the ones who are attacking free speech. I mean, Hillary Clinton was just interviewed yesterday. She had a book release yesterday. Bring this clip up. She had this book release yesterday, and she was just talking about how propaganda is what she was calling it, and of course, misinformation. Tucker was in Kansas, I think, yesterday, and he said if someone brings up misinformation, that means they are lying. If they're the ones using the term misinformation, they are liars. In the same way, Hillary in this interview. So this is again based off a book she just released. What's the title of the book? We should.
No, we don't need to know the title.
We don't need to
no.
But here's what she said about propaganda.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Criminally charged.
Yeah.
Criminally charged.
To be a deterrent.
Yeah.
Right.
And so basically speech you should be criminally charged for. And of course, we know the Democrats were in bed with Twitter before Elon bought it, Facebook and all this stuff.
Right.
They're still being sued by the Attorney General of Missouri. So Lord willing that case will continue to go through. But here's and Peter Doocy, you know Peter Doocy, Fox?
Yes, that's right. Yes. He's a White House correspondent.
I would like to have a beer with him someday.
Okay.
Just sit down with Peter. He seems like I don't know if I trust him.
But he's kind of the right kind of impertinent.
Yeah. He's kind of funny, but impertinent. I like that. But here's him kind of trying to tie the Democratic rhetoric into like, hey, this is Trump's second assassination. Are you guys gonna change things?
Saw a lot of Democrats attacking Trump.
Let's get to Peter Doocy. There we go.
Just to clarify, so you're saying that the president and vice president believe that former President Donald Trump should be toning down his rhetoric?
So I'll say this. President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy. He's been clear-eyed about that.
2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it.
His question was dangerous.
Because American people are watching.
What?
She just said, Peter, you're a threat to democracy.
Now I know where the SBC learns their rhetoric.
I know
Quick,
you are, but what am I?
Ask me, did you steal the cookie?
Did you steal the cookie?
See, here's the thing. You know,
Project 25.
cookies are made to be eaten. And, you know, what you're asking me, it really makes me feel like you don't really appreciate my blackness.
But did you eat the cookie?
Because, see, the thing is, you're asking me if I ate the cookie, but cookie is made of flour. And flour and eggs come together, right? And when they come together, they make things. And it doesn't have to always be a cookie.
Where's that Eddie Murphy clip?
I might have a...
Where's that Eddie Murphy clip? Do we have it? Bring the Eddie Murphy clip if you can.
There is no... Like, she didn't even deal with the question of whether or not what she said was problematic.
She just says that's dangerous. You're being dangerous.
And Pastor, you know what?
People are watching.
I feel insulted
Knox, people
that you would look at... And the world is watching you ask a stupid question about whether or not I ate this delicious cookie. That's what this.
Yeah.
And this is. But
did the SBC do that?
Yes.
The world is watching.
The world is watching right now.
Let's not ask any questions that might actually interfere with what we're trying.
Let's not talk about our
corruption or anything.
Yeah.
No
Resolution 9. The world is watching.
The
people.
world is watching. That's dangerous.
If people cared about the gospel the way they care about Resolution 9, we would have won the world by now.
But I guess the question I want to pose you guys a little bit is like, I don't have a problem calling the Democrats as a threat to America and our freedoms. I think there's a lot of legitimate evidence that they are, and they're trying to even take away our free speech, like Hillary Clinton's, propaganda terminology. But at the same time, I'm seeing the Democrats, and I really believe that their rhetoric is increasing the temperature in the room.
Right. So part of what happens though is there is a we talk about Overton windows that move. Yeah. There's a certain kind of there's different kinds of Overton windows, and it seems to me also that there are certain things that you could say probably 20 or 30 years ago that weren't nearly as inflammatory, which are now, and it's I think you can say the way that the progressives have gone, the way that they have weaponized the FBI, the way that the deep state has gotten so corrupt, the way they've gone after Donald Trump, this sort of their political adversary and tried to use the criminal law code against him, the way they've targeted pro-lifers, the way all of that has upped the ante. Yeah. And so now the difficulty is
real life actions, not just the words.
Exactly. And so now you have 2 assassination attempts. Yeah. So it's like it's kind of got real. Yeah. And so you can say, yes, this is a historical thing, but it's like they tend to accuse people of the things that they're guilty of. Yeah. And that's true. And at the same time, I think we have to be careful that we don't just tit for tat. Yeah. And then because they would love it if we turned up the rhetorical heat, so that they could turn it up even more. Yeah. And I think there's a bunch of people, I think behind the scenes, I think most of these people are just political tools. Yeah. But I think there are people behind the scenes that want a bunch more shooting, and they want it because they want to send in the troops. They want to lock everything down again. They say that.
Let's take the bait kind of thing.
Yes. So I think that's the thing that we have to be careful. But it's like, yes, I think these things are really. Constitutional law is being torn down. Yeah. And it's being torn down all in the name of we need to preserve our democracy. We need to preserve all this. But I think we have to not take the bait, and I think we have to be very careful and thoughtful and and incisive, surgical with our rhetoric without backing down.
I kind of want to add to that story. So I believe and hold to everything you just said, and I want to say this. It's going to intersect with that. It's going to take me a little bit to get it all out. Okay. We're also to blame for some of this as a people. So
as a Christian people, or just as Americans?
As both. Okay. So all of us, I put always the middle, the center of it with the Christian church, right? I always put us as responsible for this in a lot of ways. And here's a couple examples I want to give. You remember when the first assassination attempt happened, what we did? We all rushed to the studio to try and cover the situation so that we can say, because it was big, it was important. They just tried to kill the president of the United States. He actually got hit by a bullet. Let's cover it. We need to get on this. Yeah. What was your response the second time that we heard about the assassination attempt?
I mean, my energy was not as amped the second time.
No,
but I was
nobody's
I was definitely yeah. I don't want to be. I thought about this because I was like, I don't want to be inoculated to this becoming like a just like just more of the same from the left.
It was like, but everybody's attitude in one way or another was like, I knew they'd try it again, right? Like it's like okay, and it wasn't that we didn't care.
Yeah,
but
we knew that was going to happen.
We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
we have become a people
I don't know if I did.
A lot of people called it Dan Bongoni.
You didn't think they would do it again?
Well,
Bongino,
what?
I guess
they missed the first time.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? They missed them.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know they wanted to.
But if they're gutsy enough to try it the first time and get away with it with the type of reporting that the media gave us from the first one, like Trump hurt himself.
Yeah.
Like Trump was walking and fell down.
Yeah.
They didn't even report properly not even ever what really took place.
We still don't know.
And we still don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Then they have covered up their tracks so they can try it again.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. That's my conspiracy side. I feel like I'm going to turn into what's his
Jones.
Alex. I'm feeling like Jones. Jones is coming on. I'm telling you more and more. I'm gonna say it right now. I think they're going to try again.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try again.
I don't see how you don't.
64 days, people.
If Trump is Hitler,
64 days.
If Trump is Hitler, and Hitler's about to take over America, well, that scares all sorts of people.
Right.
I want to try and finish this point because what I'm trying to say about us is that we're the type of people that don't move unless we feel like we're in a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because real movement takes responsibility and long-term engagement. So what they sell us is the same thing what Trump was joking about. Like, Christians, if you vote for me, you'll never have to vote again.
Yeah.
He was joking about that, but the Democrats really believe that if you vote us and keep us in, you'll never have to do anything ever. Yeah. We promise we'll take care of you. We will make sure we nurse you. We'll make sure we diaper you. We'll make sure we feed you and give you everything you want. That's how the Democrats think. That's what their plans are, right? But we are the kind of people that don't move unless it's absolutely necessary. And it's been something that's been in our systems for a long time. 9/11. After 9/11, churches filled up. Didn't stay full. Right? Like, and so they know if you want to get people to move, you have to shock them. Well, what's the most shocking thing? If this president comes, you're going to go back to slavery. Really? I don't want to go back to slavery. He's going to put you back in chains. That's what Joe Biden was saying. Kamala, we're not going back. That is rhetoric that comes from slavery. They're going back. Everything's going to go back to how it was. So you have to have a campaign that scares people of the past, right? And actually one that makes them forget about it. So everything that they do is to try and get us to be engagers. And so everybody, and if you look at social media,
why do they want us to engage?
It's just the way you play the game. The most valuable asset that anyone ever has is your attention. The most valuable. So right now, even in marketing, the way social media is played, if I want to sell you a product or I want you to believe the promise that I'm offering, I need to first get your attention. The best way I can shock your attention is that you're going to die if you don't take this drug. Right? That was COVID, right? And so there's a way that they are talking that communicates to us to do something.
Yeah.
And so we've
and then somebody goes and grabs his gun.
They exactly.
But then they don't want to talk about that.
Well, no, they can. That's not important because it doesn't help their end.
Yeah, what a
right
perverse.
Exactly. Well, we didn't say go kill him. Did anybody say kill Trump right now with an SKS 47 with a scope? We didn't say that, right? Right. So we become the kind of people that will shuck responsibility until it comes to the very last minute to do something. Yeah. And so they communicate in a way that gets us to move that way. And the Republicans on the other side are not as volatile as far as with murder, but you're going to lose your rights. You won't have this. And we look at it and we can say, yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
And so we have to
experienced it,
because if Kamala gets in, the nation is over. It's done. Now we don't say, listen, it will be harder, but if you commit to doing a couple of things in your life over the next 20 years, and you get the kind of people that we want to have as journalists, and you get the kind of people that we want to have as mayors, and you make the kind of people and bring them up in your household for the governors and the city councils and the president, you will have a different nation in 20 years. Nobody offers you a 20-year plan because that doesn't get people excited and jump to move.
Right.
They offer you the immediate microwave plan that gets things done right now.
Yep.
The rhetoric on the left is just far worse. Right?
Yep.
And so we want the microwave plan. And this is what I was thinking about. I was like, okay, I got 7 kids. I got 3 boys, 4 girls. My girls get married. Okay, I'm gonna have I got 7 kids. Okay, so now I got 7 boys. Who do I want? I can replace 7. Pastor Toby, how many you got?
I got 4.
You got 4. Okay, so we're at 11.
I got 3.
You got 3. Okay, so now we're at 14. We can replace 14 people that we don't like in political office with our kids. Will there be anybody else who's willing to join us?
Vote the rent.
You see
Sumter Clan.
Right. But you see what I'm saying? Like that's actually a real strategy. The problem that we have is that we don't think about a long-term strategy. If you don't like the Democrats, you don't have to shoot them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way. We have a structure. This is what I love about what Bonson talks about so much. We really still do, even though we don't use it as often. We do have a structure that can replace the people that we don't like in political office.
Right.
That is still a reality.
If they count all the votes.
Sure. Now we need people to count votes.
Right.
But even so, not everything is as bad on every level. Right. That's at a federal level. But we don't all function just based off of the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of it's funny because even through when Trump was president, most of our lockdowns came from the local levels.
Yeah.
Ours really clinked down on us through our city council.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so there is a process that we have. Those just aren't, that's not the sexy way of getting people excited to move and engage with anything.
Right.
The other thing to keep in mind, there's a book that I'm going to forget the name of now.
I'll Google it.
Right now.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Defending Revolution, I think is what it's called. By Gary Stewart, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody Google it. But he tells the story of the lead up to the War for Independence, particularly through the work of the pastors, the sermons that were preached, and really tells a really great story of about 100 years of pastors standing up against tyranny. From the British Crown. So like it actually starts in the late 1600s are some of the first incursions. And it struck me that I've sort of wondered, like, of course, I don't know what the Lord's going to do with America, what the Lord's going to do with our country. But it's possible that, we're Knox is talking about 20 years, but I would say, hey, think 100 years.
Jeffrey Stephen?
No.
That's not it?
No.
Defending Revolution?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Gary Stewart. Did you look up Gary Stewart?
Keep going.
Man. But think 100 years, not just 20 years.
No, I think you're right about
think
that.
100 years.
Yeah.
And you have because I actually pulled up the Declaration of Independence while you were talking, Knox, because it reminded me of that. And I think you were thinking about this in a slightly different way. But it's really striking that in the Declaration of Independence, it says this: but when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Now, that long train of abuses and usurpations is about 100 years long.
Yeah.
I don't think people sometimes realize that.
Right.
Like this. So
that's how they define the time frame.
This is like 1776, but then
it started in the late 1600s.
Yeah.
And so they're going to go on. Like the Declaration of Independence has the famous preamble to the Declaration of Independence, and then the statement of what they're doing, and then the rest of the Declaration of Independence people don't read, and it's this long. It's like basically a divorce. Statement.
Yeah, right.
It's a petition for divorce.
Right.
And it's listing all the abuses, the long train of abuses. Right. And if you go through and you look at them, it's about 100 years long.
Yeah.
And so same thing that Knox is pointing out. It's like they had work to do for 100 years.
Right.
Sometimes God opens a clear avenue and says, all right, here's a way to do a pretty radical restart,
right,
as the American colonists did.
Yeah.
And other times he grants reformation. But we really do need to be thinking in terms of 20-year, 50-year, 100-year increments. And then the other thing I was thinking of, it says this. It says, such has been the patient. No, that's not what I was going to read. Just before that, it says, prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes.
Right.
So long established governments should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. You mean it? You meant it in a slightly different way, but what made me think of like, so what are people like? We are more inclined to suffer things.
That's right.
Than to abolish the forms to which we are accustomed.
Yeah, it's a reset.
And again, this I want us to think long term. I want us to think in terms of reformation, but I also want us to think clearly about biblical standards, biblical justice, our future, our great grandkids, and we need to study what. Did you find that book?
No, I didn't. I didn't even find it.
Well, I think
I'll look it up.
I think part of this whole discussion is like, I mean, we're the legal issues that surround what's going on with Trump. The media came out and said, "Oh, we don't know the political inclinations of the shooter yet." That was one of the first responses from media. It's like, well, we know he's against Trump. We know he wanted to kill Trump. And now the thing I'm actually glad about in all this is actually this happened in Florida, and I think this announcement from Ron DeSantis about the interrogation is really important.
What are you going to do about it, Governor?
Well, the state of Florida is going to do our own investigation. Clearly, there were multiple violations of Florida law. We also, I think, have an interest in vindicating the truth about where this guy came from, what his motivations were. The people of our state deserve that. I don't think it's in the best interest of this country to say that agencies like the FBI and DOJ, which are trying to prosecute Trump in South Florida, trying to reinstate an indictment that had been dismissed, that they're the best people to turn around to prosecute the case where they don't have as strong of jurisdictional claims. And so we are going to be doing our investigation. So how did this guy get in there? How was he able to burrow in? And yeah, we're thankful that the Secret Service agent, when he saw the muzzle of the gun, fired and caused the defendant to leave. How did that happen?
Right. Thank God for that agent. Thank God for that agent.
So, part of the 100-year plan is we really have to go through every situation, church, organization, bureaucracy, and remove the log out of our own eye. That's ultimately what DeSantis was getting at there. It's like the FBI has a massive log in its own eye. The FBI is trying to, convict Trump. There's a
conflict of interest here, clearly.
Massive conflict of interest, and then also investigate the whole shooting. Who did what? If this guy was responsible? I mean, we still don't have a report. Remember, 65 days ago, Trump was original first attempted assassination happened 65 days ago. We still don't know anything from that.
Right.
All we know is the Secret Service director, the chick in charge at the time, she stepped down now, but that's it.
That's all we were happy with. Well, she's not there.
No report.
It's like, can we get a full report out? Yeah. Well, and this is why. And so I think what's going on here is also we're losing trust for institutions as well. So this is surprising to me. This is in Florida. This is from Sheriff, guys. I want to go to the sheriff clip. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. They were asked, why basically wasn't the president having a lot more security around him, or wasn't that place locked down? This was his response.
How was this able to happen? And for future reference, is there any security of a golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery. So when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right. And at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. Well, because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter.
That's kind of crazy.
Wow.
I mean, he's already had one attempted assassination on him, and
Right.
for this guy,
I guess that was back to what you were saying before. Like you were saying, like you knew this was going to happen, and I was like, I don't know if I did. Like I knew they wanted to. I knew people. There are crazy people out there that would want to, but I think I go off of that. I think of that first one. I'm just like surely these people who are entrusted with defending him, the Secret Service, surely
they care about it. They
on this now,
right?
Sure. I mean,
right.
Well, if nothing else, I mean, even Trump himself. I'm just thinking, like if you're Trump,
who does the Secret Service report to right now? Democrats.
I know, but I'm thinking of Trump. I'm thinking of Trump's family. I'm thinking of like
I would have had private security all over this man.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what
like,
Dan Bongino said.
Why doesn't Trump insisting on it? Like, I mean,
well, I'm sure there has to be a pecking order, even if you do. Hey guys, we got this. You guys get that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trusting it, but I'm just thinking there's a couple things from the sheriff that really bother me. Yes, he's not the sitting president, sir. You made a factual statement. However, they just tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know
former president?
Yeah, former president
and running for president.
60 days
That's
ago.
the other thing. He is currently running for president and has already had an assassination attempt.
Right.
Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I would think everything would have been raised to a higher level of security. Everything.
Right.
I would have said, sir, I'm sorry. You can't go golfing.
So
because we can't protect you, obviously.
So riddle me this. How is it that the Democrats can label, Trump as hateful, Trump as Hitler, Trump as and it kind of sticks with them? Or at least the narrative, the mainstream media is kind of a sticky narrative, at least for the leftist mainstream media. But then, I'm thinking about the Ohio cat thing. Remember the Ohio cat thing just last week? I mean, the assassination.
Obviously, we have short memories.
The news cycle is really fast right now. Right. But Trump in the debate brings up the Ohio cat thing. He said they're eating cats and dogs, right? And then JD Vance says, "Hey, I had 9 constituents come to me with legitimate, verifiable stories, and I had 2 other constituents come to me with potential verifiable stories about all this."
Yeah, Albert Mohler doesn't think they're legit. They haven't been verified, according to Albert Mohler.
Yeah, well, and then you had the Dana, the blonde chick on CNN, just kind of try to get into JD Vance. I'm sure you might have seen that clip and everything. But I remember when those the sticking point became that, hey, your rhetoric about the cats and dogs, JD Vance and Trump, caused these bomb threats.
Oh, the schools.
Well, that's what. Hold on.
33 bomb threats.
Do we have the Lester Holt clip? Because this is what's fascinating. Play the Lester. If you guys grab that clip,
we're all over the place.
Yeah, we're all over the place. The producer's like, "What are we doing?"
We're making our producer work.
So
today.
go ahead. I want you to, because this is in greater
Yeah.
context to what you're saying. Just play it.
The apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio.
Do you hear this?
Wow.
Play it again.
Got to go back.
The apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He's
Kurt
talking
Cobain.
about the assassination attempt that
Because
just happened.
While Trump continues to continue to use dangerous rhetoric.
Can I translate?
Extreme, yeah.
Don't miss that.
Them Haitians trying to kill him because he lying on them. That's what he's saying.
No.
Right? No, that's what he's saying. It's like Trump
He's saying
Trump's
Trump
rhetoric.
and JD Vance's rhetoric is getting him in trouble with the
Right.
assassination.
That's what I
attempt.
just said.
Yeah, but not the Haitians. He wasn't blaming the Haitians.
Okay. Everybody else who trying to defend the Haitians don't like what Trump's saying, so they trying to kill him. You happy?
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying.
Right.
And he's saying the way Trump is talking is gonna get him 6'9", right? Like that's they just 187. He's gonna get him done.
187 555
555. Yeah.
0666.
Yeah, 666. All of it. He's dead.
So
Upside down.
So then you have the Lester Holt thing.
And that passes as news?
Well, the tie-in is what's crazy that passes as news.
The tie-in.
The tie-in between assassination.
Oh, I know.
And his lead-in is what's so crazy.
Right.
Trump's rhetoric is the reason why he's getting
JD Vance.
And JD Vance.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like I know there's another clip here, but the thought occurs to me that remember like the whole like Me Too movement.
Yes.
was this sort of like this massive like you cannot blame women for anything.
Yeah.
Like it's not their fault.
Right.
It's always
women.
the abuser's fault.
Yeah, believe all women.
It's always the one with the power differential. It's all it's all
Well,
that.
even that's the abuser. How do we know that yet?
Yeah. Well, but my point though is like he's been shot at twice, and they're not siding with the victim.
It's
Trump
his
would
rhetoric.
be the victim in this. Yeah.
His rhetoric is that bad,
And,
Pastor.
Right. So
his rhetoric.
So what they're saying is again tie in the Me Too. He was asking for it.
Right. That's right.
He deserved it.
He deserved it. He was asking for it.
He was talking about cats and dogs being eaten.
Yeah. I mean
and he deserved it.
But it's
so because of that, you remember the media, especially the Dana interview from CNN, were blaming Trump and Vance in their rhetoric about eating cats and dogs and ducks and geese or whatever was the cause of this 33 bomb threats in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio.
Right.
And so here's the governor of Ohio talking about that.
Least 33 separate bomb threats, each one of which has been responded to, and each one of whom has been found as a hoax. So 33 threats, 33 hoax. I want to make that very, very clear. Now,
So let me make this very, very clear.
Yes.
So mainstream media takes JD Vance and Trump talking about potential Haitians, eating cats and dogs
because
and
we have
geese.
reported people calling the police, telling them what they're seeing.
Yeah, right,
By the way,
right,
I just want everybody to know
Like,
they're actual.
This is verifiable reporting.
People are calling police,
reports.
seeing other folks with geese. Now we're not seeing every Haitian, but at least they're identifying what's going on.
But riddle me this: how come the mainstream media says, "Oh, Trump and JD Vance talking about Haitians, potentially eating cats, dogs, and geese"? Oh my! And then the mainstream media blames them for the 33 bomb threats. That apparently, I remember when these bomb threats started happening, I was like, "Oh, those are all hoax. That's all a joke." But the mainstream media, no evidence, no anything, took those hoax and said it's your fault. They didn't even know it was hoax. The bomb threats are hoax at the time.
Right.
But when the Democrats say Trump's a threat, Trump's Hitler,
right?
Trump, and then 2 assassination attempts happen on his life,
right?
And the Democrats,
real ones.
The Democrats, all of a sudden, like, no, it's not our rhetoric,
right?
It's Trump. It's Lester Holt saying, "Oh, the assassination attempt and the rhetoric that JD Vance and Donald Trump have been saying about cats and dogs and ducks, oh my, it's all their fault."
And don't forget, DeWine actually says another place that all of the calls or the threats that are made are actually out of country.
Yeah. Out of country.
Now,
out of the country.
Yeah.
Now, does anybody say, "Whoa, wait a second"? Somebody
Haitians.
Let me just.
I don't think Haiti has the time.
No.
Bring up the New York Times article.
Oh, this is good, Gabe.
And so the whole Churchill history thing, the big controversy that's happened.
Oh, it's bigger
over
than
there.
Churchill.
It's bigger than Churchill. And I'm not taking the historian side on the Tucker interview. My point is that we've been lied to for decades and centuries. It started with the public school system, where it started with, the first lie we were told is that mom and dad don't need to be involved in your education. That's public school education. The second lie we were told is that evolution is a alternative view to a creation narrative.
Right.
The third lie we were told, what was the third lie?
You don't need God.
You don't need God. That's right. You don't need God. God out of school.
Yeah.
Right? That happened in our education system. And it's no wonder all our journalists nationwide have been trained by the public education system.
Right.
For a century. Public education started 1830s. And here we are, and our journalists are lying about everything. Lester Holt is tying Trump's assassination attempt to become his fault. Because his rhetoric's about cats and dogs. This is the New York Times staffers, tech staffers, the tech guys at New York Times. They're threatening to strike. This is real. This is not.
Praise God. I'm sorry.
They're
just came out.
A strike during election season. So this is a good time to strike if you're in your news agency, right?
Yeah.
It's during election season. You ramp up the
right.
the screws on New York Times and everything. But
I'm sure it's because of Trump's hateful rhetoric.
Here's what they're demanding in their strike.
Oh, okay.
Their demands.
Ban on scented products in the break room. Unlimited break time.
Wait, what?
Unlimited break time. So, an hour-long cigarette break if you want.
Yeah.
Accommodations for pet bereavement. Your pet dies. I need a couple days off.
Yeah. Or a few weeks, maybe.
As well as
unlimited.
As well as mandatory trigger warnings in company meetings discussing events in the news.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
Proposals that would provide more money for non-white staff and others underrepresented communities to attend conferences.
Yep, I agree.
A 4-day work week coupled with significant increases in pay.
I think it should be 3.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean,
3 days. 3 cents.
Full coverage of all health care premiums for employees and family members.
That should go without saying.
Guaranteed RSU grants for all members of the unit. That I don't know what an RSU grant is.
It doesn't matter. It's free money that those people should have.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And there's 2 left. Non-performance based annual bonuses.
Yes.
All of which the company estimates would cost over $100 million in 3 years.
I don't
All
see the
these
problem.
demands.
They got money.
Why not?
I don't see the problem.
They've obviously been reading the New York Times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
They're just like, wait a sec. We should get all this stuff for free.
Yeah.
I think this is wonderful. I think the New York Times should try and fulfill every last one of these.
Go in and cut it all off.
And because if we're not going to have a free market concept, a Christian concept, a liberty-driven concept and world, I think we should have this new system. Sounds great. New York Times should go for it.
Then we're going to have an envious concept.
Yes, I think.
And you should ask for whatever you want, whatever your heart.
Non-performance based.
Yeah,
I think those in the comments right now need to come up with more demands that we can pass on to New York Times. Give us a list of more demands that we can take to the New York Times to help out the tech guys who are threatening this protest.
Yeah. I think this would be a wonderful time to let the New York Times know that redballoon.work has their back if they want to find some people.
That's right.
They just came out with a wonderful ad, New York Times, and this one's going out to you.
I think it's important to know the vaccination status of my coworkers.
What's your policy on paying employees to attend protests? How are your safe spaces?
What's your policy on microaggressions? I already feel microaggressed. I only work remotely. You're triggering me.
My pronouns are they, them, their.
V, viz, veer.
Z, them, zir.
I'm bored. Hold on, I got a text.
You don't run a daycare, you run a business. That's why you need redballoon.work.
I gotta get going.
That's perfect.
Hold on, I got a text. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I thought you said it for real.
No, don't interrupt me right now.
I kind of wonder if the tech staffers
I want a
watch
cross-politic race.
I thought they were like
guys, I want non-scented scent in our bathroom. Where's my non-performance raise right now here on Cross Politics?
Are we getting punked? Like this feels like we're getting punked. I'm looking at the list and I'm like, no one says they want a ban on scented products in the break. Like, are you?
Hey man, it might cause you a sneeze. Cause me a sneeze. I get it.
Like this, they have to be really just like, you know what? They're giving the middle finger to the New York Times. Like they're getting punked. Like this isn't real. Nobody like unlimited break time. I don't believe.
They're threatening a strike. It's real.
I don't believe. I'm not
Have
buying
they actually
it.
gone on strike yet, or were they?
No, they're threatening. The scented thing was a threat.
Yeah.
That means that you know what I believe. If I was going to take this seriously, they're asking for so much money on the other side that they're saying, you know what? Keep playing with us. This is what we want.
Yeah.
And I think they're throwing it in their face and being like, there's no negotiating until we get what we really want.
Right.
We're not going to list that because you know what we really want.
Yeah.
But here's we're going to be as fanatical as possible.
Right.
I think that's what they're doing. I just can't believe that.
That's
Although
nuts.
if I was a New York Times, I'd be hitting up Red Balloon right about now.
But here's the deal. We've talked about it just minimally on the show. Very minimal. We're gonna really announce all the details at our conference in October, prodigalamerica.com. But we're working on a journalist network right now. Cross Politic News, crosspoliticnews.com is going to be the website. And all our journalists that are going to be working for crosspoliticnews.com will have to send me pastoral letters of reference. So we know that they won't be liars. We know that there'll be integrity. And we know that there's accountability locally, not just with Cross Politic News, but locally behind that.
Mm-hmm. Some equity there. It's not just inflation.
Yeah, right. It's real.
It matters, yeah.
Because we want to take back the fourth estate.
Yes.
We
need it.
The fourth estate has done so much damage to our country. I mean, remember, CBS News started in like 1930s. Like that's the first, TV network that started.
Mm-hmm.
And so this new way of news, which is dying, which is TV versus now internet is the new way. But TV had such a grip on the voice of our country, and all the compromise. I would love an investigative news journalist to do this, but go and itemize and detail all the compromise all the news organizations did since 1930. There's a lot. There's a lot of dead bodies behind those.
They told us we went to the moon.
Yeah.
we did.
We don't know.
We did.
I can't trust the journalists. I don't trust the institutions anymore.
But the fourth estate has been so abandoned by Christians.
Right.
87% of registered journalists are registered Democrats.
Yeah.
87.
I'm just thinking of Romans 1. Romans 1. I mean,
let's just keep that on repeat.
Everybody. I mean, I thought of it the other day, and I'm actually going to read it this time because I mean, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness, who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifested in them, for God has shown it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even as eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations. Their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, to birds, four-footed beasts, creeping things. Wherefore God has given them over to uncleanness, to the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who change the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. And then immediately, then for this cause, God gave them over to vile affections.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't arrive in this place where our streets are littered with vile affections.
Yeah.
Without everything that came before that.
Right.
The suppression of the truth and unrighteousness.
That's right.
Even though you know God, you don't glorify God, God as God. You become vain in your imaginations. Your foolish hearts are darkened. But when that's going on, they don't say, "I'm getting confused. I don't understand." No, they profess themselves to be wise,
right,
while becoming utter fools.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what's been going on. You go back to, you say, what did government schools do? They said parents don't need to be involved, churches don't need to be involved. You probably evolved from pond scum. There's no creator.
Yeah,
and
we know that.
And now you can't talk about God. Now you can't worship God. Now you can't give thanks to God for math and science and history and literature and all these things that we're teaching you. You can't do that and not become utter fools. And there's a staircase here, sort of a epistemological staircase. They're falling down. They're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. They're becoming vain in their imaginations. Their foolish hearts are being darkened. They profess themselves wise while becoming fools, and therefore God gives them over to uncleanness. He gives them over to vile affections, and I think that's what we've been given over to. I mean, I think we have had far too optimistic a view of the of what happens when you do this. And so the people who are entrusted, the teachers, the media, and unfortunately many even of our pastors,
clergy,
who are entrusted with telling us the truth about what's going on and what's happening in this world. When you start getting confused about creation, when you're not clear about the creator-creature divide, and you're not clear about creation from nothing, you're not clear about God creating the world in 6 days. If you're not clear on these things, you're falling down the stairs of foolishness, darkness, lies, corruption, and literally all kinds of sexual perversion. I mean, how many of these news anchors for many, many decades have been full of adultery?
Yeah.
How many?
Oh, they've been to some Diddy parties. I just thought I'd throw that one.
Thank you. How many of for how long has the Fourth Estate been riddled with sodomy?
Yeah, that's right.
For how long has the Fourth Estate been riddled with pedophilia? And pornography? And again, same thing can be said of our pastors.
I think all the estates have been saturated with sin.
Our politicians, and you can't. And that, what does that mean? It means they're liars. It means their foolish hearts are darkened. It means they cannot see clearly. It means they cannot tell you the truth. And we need to recover this. That you cannot tell the truth consistently if you're not walking in the light.
That's right.
And you cannot walk in the light unless you're confessing your sins regularly, unless you're getting clean regularly, unless you're repenting and walking over the dead bodies of your sins daily. We for far too long would say, well, you know, they believe in evolution, but
right.
Well, you know, he's like a Christian evolutionist, but well, you know, he's slept around, but he's a really good speaker. He's really charismatic. And here we are. Here we are. All right, I'm gonna read this ad.
Yep.
Is your smartphone a tool in the service of Christ? Speaking of purity, or a minefield of distractions and temptations? With soul-killing seductions just a few taps away, our families and churches must embrace biblical accountability on our digital devices. Accountable to You makes transparency easy on all your family's devices by sharing app usage and detailed browsing history, including incognito mode with your spouse, parent, or chosen accountability partner. Accountable to You helps your family to proactively guard against temptation so you can live with integrity for God's glory. Learn more and try it for free at accountable2you.com/FLF. That's the word accountable, the number 2, the word you.com/FLF.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you a bunch of kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.
I love the Petra quote in the comments. The American church really is gay.
Are you asking me out on a date?
Effeminate.
The Bible appears more to whisper when it comes to sexual sin.
Shallow.
I said, I want the African American 7.
And full of cowardly leaders.
Are we going to keep bickering over secondary issues?
America desperately needs to return to the Father. Either we fall on the rock and are broken, or we fall on the ground and are crushed under that rock. To fall on top of the rock and be broken is exactly the condition in which God brings reformation and revival. So which way is it, Prodigal America? Are you coming home to the Father? Join us this Reformation Day in Fort Worth, Texas, October 31st through November 2nd at Will Rogers Event Center, just days before our presidential election. And join with the thousands of us for the blessing of gathering together with God's people and celebrating God's goodness with beer and psalms. Hear from speakers such as Dr. James White, Pastor Toby Sumter, Pastor Doug Wilson, Dr. George Grant, Gabe and Knox, Steve Dace, and more. Don't forget our Business Makers Conference, Jumpy Castles for the kiddos, after parties, single events, the Pastor's Luncheon, the Business Leaders Luncheon, and many more surprises coming. America has squandered her inheritance far too long. It's time she repents and returns home to her Father. Fight, Laugh, Feast presents Prodigal America.
I don't really like working.
I only work remotely.
I'm gonna need 8 weeks of paid vacation, maybe 12.
I take a lot of breaks. I feel more mentally healthy.
I'm gonna need a priority parking space.
Do you have non-dairy options in your coffee bar? Do you have soy? Do you have a decaf, half-calf kind of thing? Interviews are so boring.
How's your game?
Do I need to call my dad? You work for him, you know.
You guys are so intense. Like, do you always work this hard?
You don't run a daycare, you run a business. That's why you need Red Balloon.